Fellow travel warriors, I'm Steve.
And I'm George.
Join us as we unpack the challenges, excitement, preparation,
and passion for travel.
How you doing? How you doing, George?
I'm doing good, Steve. I am
All right.
doing
So
excellent.
Can I have the name of the hotel that you're at right now?
I am here at the DoubleTree by Hilton, Foz do Iguaçu.
Okay. Is that the only... Are there any other major brands adjacent to you or in a cluster? Or is that the main hotel?
Great question, Steve. So this is the only Hilton property here in the area, and there's no IHG properties in the area. Now, traveling around, I haven't seen a Marriott. I haven't seen a Hyatt or a Westin. I'm not saying they're not around here. Maybe they're on the Argentina side. I'm not really sure. But for the brands that we mostly stay at, when I went on the Hilton side and the IHG side, this was the only one. And for our audience, we are going to do our first hotel review, right? Since we are both lifetime diamond members, we love Hilton. And just to let the audience know, we are not getting paid for this. Hilton or DoubleTree is not giving us any money. I'm not staying here for free. This is something, Steve, we talked about a couple of days ago. Is I've had such a great experience here that I was like, hey, what the heck? Let's do a review of it.
Well, let me stop you there because you said you're not staying there for free. But are you using Hilton Honor Points for this?
I am. So when I was... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, hopefully you didn't get gouged like we get gouged in the U.S. with, 300,000 points for one night in a resort area, or 400.
No. Well, no. So it is DoubleTree Hotel. It was only 30,000 points a night. And I had checked it over the last year or so, and it's always been 30,000. So it hasn't gone up, at least at this time of the year. It hasn't gone down. And to be totally honest, when I go on the Hilton site, I really checked first how many points is going to cost me. I saw 30,000. I didn't really pay attention to how much dollars it is. It shows up, in foreign countries, it doesn't show dollars, so is the currency of the country you're in. So I didn't do any exchange. At the time, I just thought 30,000. I think that's great value. It's there. I'm happy as long as the hotel is clean and the front desk staff is friendly, right? I mean, whatever that the hotel can control, they can control, right? I think those two things are very important. Cleanliness and, attitude at the front desk. You can control that. And so I got here and really was sort of blown away. And I'll tell you, I had an overnight flight into Sao Paulo and then took a separate plane into Iguaçu that got in right before lunchtime. So I'm here. I get here around 12, hoping they have a room available. Not expecting one, but hey, if there's one, that's great. I can come in and take a nap. And the front desk staff was so nice. The girl that checked me in, Olga, she's from Venezuela. Moved here recently and is here working. She was fantastic. The rest of the staff was there. And anybody that knows me, I kind of like joke around with the staff. I don't take stuff serious. And sometimes, even kind of give them a hard time in a fun way, and tell them that I'm excited and have traveled a long way to get here. And as I was talking, I was looking in the background of the hotel. It shows like there's a bar area, there's a pool, and I'm looking, and I'm like, it's a bunch of pools back there. Am I at a resort? And I even was joking, is like, what's going on? Is like, oh yeah, we have 4 pools, 4 outdoor pools. We have an indoor pool. Check it out. And I was kind of shocked in a way, or pleasantly surprised. Because I didn't really go into the website and look at all the pictures, because in my mind, this is not by the beach. This is not, when we think of a place with a whole bunch of pools and stuff like that, it's usually by the water or in a resort area around the world. So I was really, really pleasantly surprised. And I thought, hey, Steve and I, we got to do a review of this hotel. And this is what we're doing.
Well, I'm dying to ask, did you get the DoubleTree cookies, chocolate chip cookies, when you checked in?
I did. You know how much I love those.
How about your 2 waters? Did you get your 2 waters?
They were in the room.
Okay. And let me
They were
ask
in the
you
room.
this. What's the room type? Are you in a large corner king? Are you in 2 double beds? What's the square footage of the room? And also, for me, is there a coffee maker in the room and a fridge?
All great questions. So when I booked this, the only room available with points was 2 queen beds. So there wasn't a choice. And so the 30,000 points were for 2 queen beds. Again, like I said, every time I've looked, it's been 30,000. So I would imagine that 1 king bedroom would have been 30,000. I don't know about the bigger rooms. I did look outside. Like you can tell by the hotel, outside how big the rooms are, depending on what side of the hotel they are. They do have bigger rooms. So I don't know if a large room, how many points that is. So for this particular room, it's 2 queens. Now, when I did check in my profile, I have the highest floor, and that's mostly because Zoraida. When Zoraida and I are traveling, she loves the top floor. If we get a lower floor, she gets really upset. I'll look at the front desk. Basically, it was like, we don't have a room available on the top floor. If you want a lower floor. And I said, no, lower floor is fine. That's just in there for Zoraida. So we had a good laugh on that and why I picked the top floor. And she totally understood. It is a basic room, a great shower, the water pressure. It's almost like the falls here in Iguaçu. I mean, the water pressure, we've been in some hotels where it is, just barely coming out. So great showers. It does have a coffee maker, but I don't drink coffee. Unlike you and Zoraida, who are hooked up to it with IVs most of the time. It does have it. It does have a fridge, but there's stuff in there.
It's a mini bar.
Like a mini bar. Yeah. So it's not full. We've seen mini bars where you open it, and I think if you even move the can or something, the room gets charged. I don't think it's quite like that. There's a lot of empty space, so I put some water bottles that I'd had with me in there. So has a nice TV. The beds were very comfortable, and I had a great view of all the pools. What I didn't know, so I check in, I take a little bit of a nap, so I'm a little tired. And then I'm like, let me go exploring, right? It's one of our favorite things to do is kind of check out the hotel. So I check out the pool area here, and then I walk past, and I look to my right, and I see a Johnny Rockets burger place.
I haven't seen one of those in such a long time. I couldn't even tell you where I remember seeing one.
I mean, I think the last time I saw them were like at Disney World or Disneyland, at inside the park, like amusement parks and stuff. They'll have them, or somewhere in Vegas. So I was sort of stunned to see it, a Johnny Rockets burger place. So then I walked past the last pool, and then I'm looking, and I'm like, is that a sand volleyball court? So I walk further, and I see a sand volleyball court. And I walk past that, and I see 2 tennis courts. Then I walk past that, and I see like a sport court that has both soccer and basketball. Then I walk past that, and I think there's like a bigger soccer field.
That's amazing.
And I'm blown away by it. And I'm like, this is really a resort.
Yes.
This is a resort.
It doesn't have a resort name on it.
It's like a resort in the middle of the jungle.
Oh, wow. And what about the food? Do you get the continental, or do you get a full-blown breakfast buffet? Do they have American items like you get your standard sausage and eggs or pancakes, cereal, etc.?
So that's a great question. So you know how Hilton has changed, where now you get like a certificate or a voucher for $12 or $15, and that's all you get.
You got to pay the difference.
No, not here. You get the whole thing. You just go to the restaurant area in the morning, and they have your name and room. Yep, Mr. Rowland, you're good. You just walk in there, and it's a pretty good sized breakfast. we've been, hotels where they're smaller, they're a little bit bigger, but this was a good size. And it was mostly food from this area. They had very little cereal, American items. They had a lot of probably what Brazilians eat, or people from this area of the country eat. They had yogurts, and they had cheeses, and they had eggs, but I'm not a big egg eater, omelets and stuff like that. So breakfast is very limited. I had a lot of fruit and yogurt mostly for breakfast.
Okay.
But I thought it was very good. As we've discussed in the past, a lot of the breakfasts now in the U.S. are just terrible, especially post-pandemic. They'll barely have anything.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
but internationally, they still have great food. Our trip to India last year, in India, and then in Nepal and the Maldives, the hotels we stayed at had unbelievable breakfasts. And so I think we're cutting corners in the U.S. when it comes to breakfast items. I did have dinner Saturday evening. They had kind of a salad buffet and a dinner buffet. I mean, a salad buffet and a dessert buffet. And then you had kind of a menu to pick several items from. And I forget what I had, some kind of meat. It was very good. It only came out to like $28, which I thought was pretty reasonable. And then last night, I went and had Johnny Rockets. So I had a burger and a shake. So
Let me
one
ask you this.
experience.
Let me ask you this. If you had to guess the occupancy, what do you think it's at?
Like percentage of the hotel is full. I would say it's pretty high. Breakfast was, I would get there early. So like in the elevator, it'll say between 6:30 and 8, good time for breakfast. 8:30 to
Right,
10,
I've seen that.
heavy flow. I think it
Yes.
says.
Yeah.
I would get there every morning. I got there around 7 or before 7, and it was busy.
And
So
what about the networking as far as the TV channels? Can you pull up CNN or Fox News or American channels?
well, that's a great question, Steve. So Friday night, I think it was Friday night or Saturday, they're running together now. I pull up and everything is in Portuguese. I'm flipping through, and I come across Terminator 2.
In English or
And it's in
subtitled?
no, it was in Portuguese, speaking Portuguese and subtitles in Portuguese. So I watched the last 20 minutes of the Terminator 2 in Portuguese.
That
I
is
have kind of an
hilarious.
idea I've seen the movie enough, and I kind
Sure.
of have an idea. And then after that, I didn't watch anymore. I didn't flip through. When I saw the guide, it looked like everything was in Portuguese. I didn't go through the whole thing because I had to go to kind of bed early. And then Saturday night, same thing. I flip on and I'm going. And I come to it was a Sony station, I think, and it had the original Rambo First Blood in Portuguese.
Wow.
So I
I
so I
I'll watch
watched the
that movie
last
in any
30,
language. Yeah.
so I watched the last 30 minutes of it in Portuguese. It didn't have, whatever reason, it didn't have the subtitles,
Yeah.
but I watched it and to have an idea of what they're saying. I just watched it, and then I just went to bed.
Ye-
But the TV is
Yeah.
great. It's a good sized TV. It always seems like we've been in the hotels where it seems like they kind of skimp on the TV sometimes, where it's really small, especially if there's a big room. But no, this is a good size. I don't know if I think it's a 50-inch. So I think perfect size for this room. Very clear. Just, I don't know. I can't speak Portuguese or read it, so I can't.
Yeah. One of the things that I usually struggle with is at hotels, wherever I am, is getting the room cool enough because I like a kind of a cold room. I find that I sleep better. It's just well ventilated. And as you know, some of these hotels, especially hotels that are in historic buildings that have been converted into a hotel, like for instance, the Intercontinental in San Francisco, which used at one time was the governor's mansion. Mark Hopkins, he was the governor, and that was his mansion on top of Nob Hill. And there's 3 hotels on top of Nob Hill. There's the Fairmont, there's the Intercontinental Mark Hopkins, and the Huntington. And I've stayed in 2 of the 3, but I'm missing the Fairmont. But the Intercontinental, even though we had the settings for maximum ventilation or coolness, it just never really got cool. And I kind of shy away from staying in these converted old building into hotels. It always seems like the ventilation and the coolness is never to the optimum level that I like. So I know that in the last episode you mentioned it was really quite warm, the heat index, Celsius, etc. Now, are you able to get the room cool?
When I checked in on Friday night, the room was a perfect temperature for me. Wasn't hot, wasn't cool. I didn't even look for the thermostat. It was perfect. So Saturday, when I was at the falls all day, overheated, and I came back and showered and got ready and was relaxing. Because my body temperature, I think, was on fire, I was really warm. And so I started looking for the thermostat. I can't find it in here. I'm not saying it's not in here, but I can't find it. I don't know. I've looked, and I be honest, I kind of feel stupid to ask the front desk. It blows from the top. You know how some of the units in the U.S., they'll have the unit there by the window. Well, this one is like transplanted up towards the ceiling. And so I have looked everywhere, and it's one of those where you have a key card. When you walk in, you put the key card and electricity and all that stuff. And then when you leave the room, so it saves. Yesterday when I came in was the opposite, right? It was cold and rainy, and I was wet, and walked in, and I'm freezing to death. And so last night I felt great. The room was cool. I was cool. And then today is probably in between. I think it's going to be in the 80s today. And so the room still feels pretty good, but I know what you're saying about getting the room right, but I just can't I can't find the thermostat. But luckily, I've been okay. So, like I said, I'm kind of embarrassed to go to the front desk and say there's a thermostat, and then they come up and it's right in front of my face. And then I'm looking like an idiot.
I've had some really odd situations where at a hotel in Miami in Belle Isle, I couldn't find the TV, and it was because it was actually on the wall, but it had a cloth white cover, embroidered cover on over the TV, so it blended into the wall. And so the bellman, like, here it is, sir, and it was on a swivel, and I felt so dumb, but it was we need to have an episode of all the different types of hotels. For most of us that have had the good fortune to travel, there's spa hotels, there's retreats and wellness, there's so many. There's even hotels now like the TWA hotel at I think JFK, which is centered around the theme of the TWA airlines. There's so many unique. You talk about in California, you have the Disneyland Hotel. You have so many different types of hotels now that cater to an individual's pursuits in the type of hotel stay that they're looking for. And I don't want to digress too much into it, but I do have a funny story. We had to stay at a hotel. In fact, it was that one. It was called the Standard, and the word standard was upside down. And I just quickly learned that nothing in that hotel was standard. But if you went to the pool area, which was for adults only, and you panned the hotel pool, the types of people that were there it was straight out of Central Hollywood casting. You had the 2 guys that were identical in height, bald, with black Speedos. You had the one lady that looked like kind of her face was melting or something, and with the book. You had a girl that came out to the pool, which I was like shocked to see her walking towards the lounge chair because she appeared to be 100% naked. But she wasn't naked. She was probably 9 months pregnant, and it covered everything. So it just one blend, in a bikini.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
these are the kinds of things that maybe in the future we'll do an episode on some of the quirky settings and some of these unique one-off type of hotels that we probably have stayed in. But getting back to the DoubleTree, what I wanted to ask you is, are there any walking paths? Is there, let's say I want to go across the street and go to a convenience store like a 7-Eleven. Do you have some of those things readily available, or do you have a little market store in the hotel where you can pick up some refreshments, fruit, etc.?
That's a great question. So inside the hotel, they have a few shops, souvenir shops and stuff that you can get, but they don't have really like a store to get drinks that I see. They do have a spa down in sort of in the basement. They have some meeting
Wow,
spaces. They did have a room where they had like a meeting room, and I wanted to set up in there too. They had a billiards table, a DoubleTree billiards table, but I couldn't get internet access in there. I'm trying to think. So around the hotel, there are a lot of resort hotels around here, like on the way to the falls. It looked like some of them are really unbelievable. There are even hotels inside the park itself.
that's
Next
amazing.
to, so if I was going to go, like I said, to the pool, to the tennis court, if I were to keep on going over the wall of the property, there's a huge mall complex with the movie theater, Cinemark movie theater, and a big mall. Now I haven't gone over there, so they do have that. I didn't see any small. What I really haven't seen is really a grocery store. Now I may have missed it driving around in the Ubers, but I didn't really see sort of in a walking distance. I'm going to go get something really really quick outside of going maybe a quarter of a mile down the road to the mall.
And what about you told me that you kind of made some friends there at the front desk, and that's kind of nice when you have hospitable guest service agents who make can really make a difference in the trip. Tell us about that. You met a lady, and
Yeah,
you told her about our channel, and hopefully we'll get a like or two
yeah,
off of that.
yeah. The girl at the front desk, Olga, she was fantastic. And then there was a few others there that I didn't catch all their names, so I do apologize. They were all friendly. And then in the evenings, I did talk to a couple of gentlemen. One, his name was Francisco. He was actually from the U.S. that had moved here. So we talked a little bit. And then I talked to a gentleman by the name of Will and told him about our channel too. And everyone was friendly. And we've talked about it. You get a good vibe of the hotel and their working environment when you walk up to the front desk and they greet you with a smile and how are you doing? That shows me good management. And it all starts
Yes,
from the management level. You and I have talked about that many times, and that's important. They enjoy working there. At least they show they enjoy working there. Obviously, work in the hotel is tough. You get people coming in from around the country. People have bad attitudes. They come in on long flights and they've been delayed for a day and then they're grouchy. So a lot of people at the front desk take a lot of heat from guests, and so
yeah.
they do have it tough. They were fantastic, and like I said earlier, I just thought, what a great experience. Um, and I thought we should do a review. I will say this: when I came back Saturday night, the day that was really hot, and I came up to the room and I looked outside, it was packed, Steve. It was like it would be if this was at if I could just look beyond the pool and see the ocean. That's what I thought we were at. There were so many people there with kids, families. It's a great place for a family getaway. Going to I would imagine most everybody comes here to go to the falls, right? So I think this is a great place to come with your family. And again, treated very well. The front desk has been great, and everybody has been so polite and so nice. And like I said earlier, if I can just learn how to speak Portuguese, it'd be even better.
Well, definitely, since you've had such a good positive experience there. Of course, whenever I do, I always leave a positive review because I know those get read. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that. But definitely, they need to be recognized if they provided you with some really great service, because that means a lot on a
Yeah.
trip. And it
Yep.
actually builds in loyalty because there is a hotel in Central America when I go every year to go visit and pay my respects to my mom, which I will be doing soon, where the front desk staff are always just, they're just on top of everything. It makes you give a lot of confidence in their abilities to solve any kind of issue that you might have or point you in the right direction. So I'm glad to hear that that these people have been. Well, I would imagine that 85% of the occupants in that hotel are there as tourists. They probably don't get as much business travelers there, but unless it's park related, hotel related, etc.
Yeah, Steve. So I really believe this is a fantastic property, especially for families in the area. They have all the amenities here. And what's also great, I believe this is a resort style hotel without the resort fee. And
That's brilliant.
those usually, right, that usually adds $30 to $50 a day, depending on where you're at. So I do is great value. I did look for this week. It's about $130 a night for the 2 queen, which I think is fantastic, and it's 30,000 points a night.
That's
and this type
such
of
a great
property,
value.
that property anywhere in the U.S. near a major attraction would be so much higher. If this was by Niagara Falls or something like that, equivalent to a landmark, it would be a lot more high. It would be a lot higher cost to stay at this hotel. So I do recommend it, and hopefully, if I'm back here again with Zoraida, that we'll be fortunate enough to get to stay here.
Something to plan for sure.
If anybody in our audience has stayed here, please let us know what your thoughts staying in this area, staying at this hotel in this area here in Brazil and across the border into Argentina. We'll have some links down below with some pictures and videos. We'll share that. And again, this is what being a travel warrior is all about.
And George, I can't wait to see some of the video and some of the pictures that you'll post up on our channel, hopefully soon. And so we just want to thank everyone for joining us, and we hope that you enjoyed some of the description and some of the information that George shared with us today about this beautiful place. And please join our ever-growing community of travel warriors. Let's continue this journey together.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell to stay updated on our latest episodes. Until next time, safe travels.